Another in Europe since World War II.
Still got some slick spots out on the road, but it looks like we are done with our freezing rain. Now we look forward to some warmer temperatures by the weekend, the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And a second day of rain and sleet leads to dangerous driving conditions throughout the 4 states.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Russia launches an all-out invasion of Ukraine. This is KOM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Bombs fall on Ukrainian cities overnight as tanks roll across the border. President Biden plans to address the war today and announce a new set of sanctions against Russia. Massive explosions have been seen and heard around Ukraine, including the capital, Kyiv. Video shot by Ukrainian border guards shows Russian armored vehicles crossing the border from Crimea, a territory Russia took by force in 2014. Ukrainian officials say more than 40 Ukrainian soldiers are dead and many more wounded. We'll have much more on the crisis in Ukraine later in the show. But first, let's turn to weather. Now, the wintry mix returns to the 4 states for a second day, closing schools and making for dangerous driving. Michael Hayslip joins us from the Skywatch Weather Center with the latest.
You want to use that as my launching off point, Tanya, because as we look at the radar right here, you're going to say, well, we're getting a nice 4-state split. We got just a little snow hanging out to the west and also, too, impressive thunder sleet working its way through south central Missouri. But right through us, right now, things are looking nice and clear. That being said, all those slick spots on the road haven't had a chance to go anyplace, nor will they, as our temperatures are going to be almost record low later tonight. But another positive as we drop down to the southwest, where everything's originated for the past 2 days, finally beginning to calm down in between OKC and Tulsa, because that was our best indicator of what was to come, as the majority of our precipitation for today, did dominate northwest Arkansas, but actually slipped as low as Little Rock and then made its way through the boot heel toward portions of the Mississippi River. As far as what we're seeing for our winter weather advisories and warnings, do want to point out we have not changed our expiration time. Not that we're going to have more freezing rain or sleet here in the near future. It is, as Tanya said, all about those driving conditions that are going to be a tad bit dangerous until we get through the rest of the night. And of course, the pink, that is the winter storm warning. Here's where we sit with temperatures that are in the low 20s. We'll see some mid 20s, about as good as we'll get for today. And remember, we still have a wind chill in effect that is in the teens. Some places, especially to the northwest, still hanging on to single digits. Now, as we dip into overnight, if you have to be out tonight for some reason, you need to bundle up, because we're going to get down into, say anywhere from 7 to 10 degrees. And that's why we've been talking about possibility of setting that record for either a Thursday night low, or maybe, Tanya, if this carries over, that could end up being a low for Friday as well. Now, by the time we get to the weekend, we're starting to rebound slowly but surely. Let's throw the Fridays or the 40s up on Saturday and Sunday. And then as we close out February and get ready for March, then we're talking about 50s and 60s. But that being said, coming up here in just a little bit, Tanya, let's go back, break down our travel conditions as we get ready for the evening commute.
That's right. Well, the combination of ice, sleet, and frigid temps is making it a challenge for many 4-state drivers. And we sent KOM's Shannon Becker out and about to check out the latest road conditions in southwest Missouri. He joins us now.
Thanks. We're here on the scene of a crash, actually. A pickup truck on its side on the state line. You can see behind us here, Galena Fire Department is on scene. Also, ambulances. 4 people in the truck. I not believe anyone is injured. These roads are slick. Taking a look at roads like 20th Street in Joplin, partially covered. Traveling on Wall Avenue, approaching 15th Street, partially covered. And let's take a look at MoDOT traffic cameras across the area. Still, state roads are partially covered. I-44 Main Street, I-44 and South Range Line. Further to the east at mile marker 15 of the Terra Motel, visibility is a little bit of an issue. And then onto Carthage at mile marker 18, where 249 goes north there. We'll keep our eye on the roads for you. We're on the state line, West 7th Street. I'm Shannon Becker for KOM TV 7.
Thank you, Shannon. Well, first responders have stayed busy keeping drivers safe. Check out this accident yesterday in Joplin. Luckily, no one was hurt. Slick conditions led to the car running off the road near Landreth Park and into the creek. Joplin fire crews rescued the driver. Further south, the storm started much earlier. This is video from Wednesday evening in Tulsa. Dozens of drivers got stuck on 71st Street near Highway 75. Drivers in central Oklahoma face similar issues with slick roads and low visibility. Wind chills are below zero and will not get back above freezing until at least Friday. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, the world reacts.
Condemnation from around the world. I'm Tina Kraus with protesters calling on Russia to stop its invasion of Ukraine.
And later, we're making a crispy fried meatloaf in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is driving down stock prices around the world and causing concerns food and energy prices will rise even more. U.S. stocks opened sharply lower after Russia began its invasion last night. Almost every single Dow component was in the red, and the Nasdaq began in bear market territory. On the energy front, crude oil surged above $100 a barrel for the first time since 2014. Crude prices have jumped more than $20 a barrel since the start of the new year on fears of sanctions on Russia's energy sector. Russia and Ukraine are also both major global suppliers of corn and wheat. World leaders are condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and pro-Ukrainian protests are growing across the globe. CBS's Tina Kraus reports from London.
From Tokyo to Beirut,
Russia, go home!
To London,
I want all people around the world to stop Putin.
there's strong support for Ukraine.
This is so horrifying and shocking and appalling.
Even among Russians like Tatiana Ruzak, who lives in the UK with her 3 children.
There's a slight hint of shame in all of this because this is my country who is starting the aggressive invading war.
You feel guilty?
Of course I feel guilty. Everyone, I think, feels the same.
Le président Poutine n'a pas seulement attaqué l'Ukraine.
One world leader after another is denouncing Russia's invasion.
This hideous and barbaric venture of Vladimir Putin must end in failure.
European leaders are promising to hammer Putin with tough sanctions.
It is President Putin who is bringing war back to Europe.
For Ukrainian Katerina Volovic, the war is personal. Her family is in the line of fire.
Of course, it's horrible. I'm stressed. I'm nervous about my parents, and I'm really afraid that a lot of people die.
Others are in disbelief.
It's shocking. It's just, sorry.
I see that you're tearing up. It's quite emotional.
Yeah.
Impose sanctions now!
Protesters know these signs won't stop the war, but they hope someone listening will. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
Russia claims China gave its backing for the military attack on Ukraine. China has called on all sides to exercise restraint to prevent the situation from getting out of control. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
For some of us, meatloaf is the ultimate comfort food, while for others, Meatloaf is a singer that had us singing Paradise by the Dashboard Lights over and over again. Join us as we take you on a tasty journey.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
As the second round of the freezing rain, the sleet, and the snow jotted through the 4 states this morning, we finally are getting just a little bit of a break, but we're going to spend our time on or talking about those weather conditions that are still going to be very, very dangerous because of what we have absorbed over the last 2 days. This is a live look right now at I-44 at the Saginaw exit, and tell you what, comparatively speaking to even what we saw yesterday morning, traffic just about nil outside. That being said, we at least are getting a little break as the majority of the freezing rain and sleet, even some thunder sleet associated with the lightning strikes right there, has now moved all the way east of Springfield. Now, I want to go back and talk about the Missouri Department of Transportation travel page here because as we see the purple area those are still considered covered, especially when you get south of I-44. That's where our live camera was, just about right in that area. Now that dark blue, that's partly covered. And so as you get up north on I-49, things get a little bit better as you head toward Vernon County. But if we go south on 49, oh, that is a different story, because here we are in the northwest Arkansas. We'll pinpoint I-49 in Washington County near the Missouri state line, where it is considered mostly clear, but we still have slush on the roads. And then as we duck down just to the east of 49 to Highway 71, partly covered still. That is I-49 to the Missouri state line as well, as they are still developing some light snow. In Oklahoma, let's concentrate on I-44, where things considerably better than what we had yesterday. Department of Transportation and the Highway Patrol considering the status moderate, much better than the severe as what was indicated yesterday. Do want to point out, though, that 69 and 69A in Ottawa County are still considered severe. In other words, the Highway Patrol saying, please avoid driving on these if possible. As we transition over to Kansas, much better than what we had yesterday. The legend on the right-hand side showing you the what's considered partially covered roads right there, as compared to the completely covered what we had yesterday. And compliments of the Kansas Department of Transportation, what you're looking at right here. That's a live shot on Highway 69 out by Kansas Crossing Casino. Traffic moving pretty well. I think really it's just the number of cars that really has decreased. Positive aspect of it all, though, people actually yielding the warnings, paying attention to the dangerous driving conditions. But because our temperatures are so low, let's not let our guard down. If you have to get home tonight, hopefully you don't have late night plans as well. If you do, let's think about putting those off. If you don't want to do it over the weekend, if you can fast forward those to next week, the first week of March, it's going to be absolutely delightful. Not worth trying to brave what we have right now. Eventually, skies are going to clear off. We've got to let this cloud cover move in from the west right here. And after they do, it is going to be one frigid of a night. But the positive aspect of it all is, comparatively speaking, this is kind of what we broke down this morning. On Wednesday, that's where our system started, and it beelined up on us. Now, the one that we're seeing dominate portions of south central Missouri now make its way into Illinois and eventually Indiana through Kentucky right there up the Ohio River Valley. Because it developed in northeast Texas, gave us a little bit of a break, shifted off to our southeast for today. Let's talk about our watches and warnings that are still in effect, because the winter weather advisory has pushed off to the north, and then it actually moved to the west as well. And our winter weather warnings down there in the pink, those have not moved. That's been pretty stagnant since we put those into effect. That goes all the way back to Tuesday when those went into effect, and we've still got about 8.5 hours there before they expire. Here's where we stand temperature-wise in the 20s. Let's factor in the wind that we've experienced and our wind chills in the teens. And it's actually going to drop down easily into single digits by the time we get to tonight. Nationally speaking, everything moves off to the east. We're going to get a dry spell, so that's not too bad. Now watch the cloud cover remove itself for Thursday night into Friday. That's going to make for an extremely cold Friday morning for sure. But Tanya, the nice thing is the sunshine will begin tomorrow. Take us up into the 40s for Saturday and Sunday. Next week, we can enjoy some wonderful, almost spring-like temperatures, if you will. That's why I was encouraging everybody, if you do have plans tonight, you can just set them off a couple days. It's going to be much safer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just be careful out there with that refreeze for sure. I'm looking forward to the sunshine.
It's coming. We're getting closer, I promise.
We're going to start singing its praises. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Major Richard Evans in the U.S. Air Force. The Columbus, Kansas native served with the Strategic Air Command in Vietnam from 1971 to 1973. Evans flew KC-135 air refueling tankers out of both Altus, Oklahoma and Wichita, Kansas. He also flew the Looking Glass SAC command plane, based out of Omaha, Nebraska. To Major Richard Evans, we thank you. Everyone loves a good old-fashioned meatloaf, but if you're looking for a fun way to jazz it up, how about giving it a crispy golden coating that you can really sink your teeth into? We're making crispy fried meatloaf in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
As I was putting together some thoughts for today's meatloaf segment, I went online to see what fun facts I could find about this main dish. So I searched for fun facts about meatloaf. From there, I discovered how meatloaf varies from country to country. Like Did you know that some folks bury an egg in the middle of their meatloaf? And others add chopped fruit. On that page, there were also a bunch of links to trips to Germany, where meatloaf was first created. And you know what? I clicked on one of them to get more information about a trip. Then I clicked on another link, and it took me to a page all about Meatloaf, the singer. Did you know his real name is Marvin Lee Aday? I loved the album Bad Outta Hell so much that I ordered a remastered version of it. From there, I clicked on another link that said, to make a good meatloaf, you need a good meatloaf pan, which took me to a website that sells stuff for your bed, bath, and beyond. Besides buying the pan, I ordered a comforter and some flameless candles for our guest room. It turned out to be quite an expensive afternoon. Fortunately, you don't have to go through all of that to get the recipe for our crispy fried meatloaf. All you have to do is visit our website. Let me tell you, this is one of the best and most highly reviewed recipes on our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found many marvelous meatloaf ways for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Temperature is going to drop down to dangerous low conditions tonight. You have a chance to set a record low. Still spitting outside, and parking lots are like ice rinks. The old penguin walk in effect to get to the car. That's the safest way to do it. And then prepare for 40s over the weekend. If we can prepare for the winter weather that we've had, it's going to be a welcome sight to see some sunshine.
I saw a sign this morning that said, do the penguin shuffle.
That's right.
All right, well, coming up tonight at 5, Americans are bracing for the economic impact of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. From soaring inflation to record high crude oil prices, we look at the impact the crisis overseas will have on our wallets. Plus, as temperatures across the region remain low, local shelters see an increase of those needing shelter, while also dealing with fewer volunteers. We take a look. And we'll have the latest road conditions across the 4 states. Join us for those stories and much more tonight on the KOAM News at 5.
I want to thank you all for joining us here on the KOAM News at noon. Coming up very soon, President Biden addresses the nation on Russia's invasion of the Ukraine. Tanya and I will see you again tomorrow morning.
And the rest of the team will see you right back here at 5 o'clock.